You know those people who just vanish from the corporate ladder? Maybe it's the person who passed on a huge promotion for no good reason. Or maybe a friend who walked away from a dream job, the kind everyone wants, just to take some smaller gig, make less money, and somehow seem weirdly, suspiciously at peace with it. Or maybe you've heard of Yvon Chouinard, the billionaire founder of Patagonia. He did something that absolutely shook the business world. Gave away his entire $3 billion company just to step back and live a quiet, simple life. No panic, no regrets, no desperate need to prove to the world that they're doing just fine. They just quietly stepped away from a game the rest of us are still fighting tooth and nail to win. So, what is actually going on inside their heads, psychologically speaking? Today, we're breaking down the psychology of the people who quietly escape the rat race. And stick around till the end, because what I'm about to tell you is going to completely change how you see success, ambition, and what it actually means to win. To see the full picture, we first got to ask, why do most of us keep racing in the first place? And the answer is pretty straightforward, because it aligns almost too perfectly with how the human brain evolved. This whole grind, it's not some grand conspiracy, it's instinct. For 300,000 years, our ancestors' brains operated on one simple rule. Higher status meant more food, better protection from the tribe, and a higher chance of survival. So, when you climb a rung on the social ladder, your brain dumps out a massive hit of dopamine, that chemical that makes you feel on top of the world. A 2022 Harvard study showed that getting recognized for your work status triggers the exact same brain regions that react to drugs, gambling, and sex. When you get a shiny new business card that says Senior Vice President, your brain can't tell the difference between a career achievement and a hit of an addictive substance. All it knows is more. Give me more. And modern capitalism understands this better than anyone. It engineered the ultimate reward system. You hit your KPI, you get a bonus. Get a bonus? You upgrade that sedan to an SUV. Got the SUV? Now your living expenses are higher. Expenses go up? Now you have to keep grinding to chase the next payout. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. Your baseline for what feels like enough keeps resetting. You're spinning like a hamster on a wheel. Not because you're greedy, but because your primitive brain is doing exactly what it was programmed to do to survive. But what happens when some people suddenly stop feeling that dopamine hit? Take a look at the people who were brave enough to step down. I mean people like Yvon Chouinard, or maybe someone you know personally. From the outside, it looks like they just gave up. Except, they didn't. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Their brains might actually be processing the exact same information in a completely different way. A longitudinal study out of Stanford showed that in people who voluntarily downshifted their careers or scaled back their lives, the prefrontal cortex responds totally differently when faced with signals of money and status. When a regular person sees a $50,000 bonus, the reward centers in their brain light up like a Christmas tree. But for the quiet exiters, that activation is dialed way down. It's not that their brains are broken, it's that they've recalibrated what actually registers as a reward. So what actually sparks this change? It's almost never some impulsive overnight decision. Usually, it comes down to one of three reality checks. First, the biological severe burnout. When you push yourself way too hard year after year, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, gets completely overwhelmed. It starts treating a ping from your boss's email like a saber-toothed tiger charging at you. Your body just goes on strike. Second, the health wake-up call. You're 38 years old, sitting in the ER with chest tightness from sheer exhaustion. Suddenly, that gold-embossed business card or fancy watch isn't worth a single thing if you can't even catch your breath. And third, temporal discounting flexibility. Now, this is a fascinating psychological concept. See, most people value immediate rewards over future ones. We'd rather eat the donut today, even knowing it could lead to health issues 10 years down the road. But the people who step off the treadmill have a unique cognitive superpower. They can picture their 60-year-old selves with crystal clarity. And when that image of an exhausted, sick 60-year-old pops up, it's strong enough to totally kill the dopamine craving for this week's promotion. Sounds pretty romantic, right? Quit your job, live minimally, sip tea, and watch the sunrise. But here's the part you rarely hear on social media. Stepping off the treadmill is a brutal psychological experience. If you walk away, you're going to have to face these 4 monsters. First, identity dissolution. For 15 years, your answer to "so, what do you do?" was your lifeline at dinner parties. You were a marketing director, a financial analyst. When you leave and answer, "Oh, I work part-time at a plant nursery," you can literally feel the awkward silence in the room. Your brain registers that loss of career identity the exact same way it processes grief. Second, social comparison anxiety. Here's the truth. When you step off the ladder, you accidentally turn yourself into a mirror. You remind everyone around you that they're exhausted too. And their natural reaction? They question you. Is something wrong with them? They probably got fired and are just making excuses. Your brain is terrified of tribe rejection, and going against the grain takes a massive amount of inner strength. Third, stress addiction. Now, this is the weirdest one. You actually miss the stress. People who used to work 70 hours a week, when they suddenly get 8 free hours a day, they don't instantly feel happy. They panic. Their brains are hooked on adrenaline. Without that pressure, they fall right into an existential void. And fourth, primal financial fear. Even if you have a solid safety net, watching your bank account stop growing triggers fear at a cellular level. So keep this in mind. The people who quit the race aren't escaping into some stress-free paradise. They're just trading one set of hard problems for a completely different set. And the higher up you are on that ladder, the bigger and scarier those monsters get when you step down. But if you can actually push through that whole psychological withdrawal phase, what's waiting for you on the other side? It's something called neuroplasticity. A study out of the University of Pennsylvania showed that if you stick with a new environment and a different set of values for 18 to 24 months, your brain structure physically rewires itself. The things that used to give you that rush, like the chime of a work notification or praise from your boss, they totally lose their power over you. Meanwhile, your appreciation for the simple stuff, a morning where you're not rushing, a deep conversation, actually being fully present while eating a meal, that stuff skyrockets. You start developing what psychologists call an internal locus of control. You don't need a scorecard from society to tell you if you're living a good life anymore. You stop treating time like some resource to be hacked or optimized, and you start using it as a space to just live. When it all comes down to it, we need to look at this fairly. Leaving the rat race is not some inherently brave or morally superior act. And honestly, staying in the race isn't wrong either. Life is just a matrix of trade-offs. The people who choose to stay in the grind, who take on the pressure to secure their kids' financial future or support their aging parents, that's a responsible, deeply self-sacrificing choice. Their brains are simply optimizing for safety, stability, and status. And the ones who step out? They're just optimizing for freedom and presence. 2 lifestyles, 2 neural setups, 2 completely different goals. Neither one is better than the other. So if you're still in the race, stop beating yourself up. Be proud that you're fighting for the people you love. And if you're quietly stepping off, stop worrying that you're a failure. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're just playing a different game, one where the trophy isn't handed out by the crowd but forged by your own hands. Every game has its price tag. The real question is, are you willing to pay the price for the game you actually chose? Thanks for being here with Deep Shift. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if this video hit home for you in any way, drop a comment down below. I'll see you in the next one.